The 1840s marked a pivotal era in the exploration of old America, a time when the vast, untamed continent whispered secrets of forgotten empires through its windswept plains and shadowed valleys. It was an age of relentless curiosity, where the young United States, hungry for identity, sent forth intrepid souls to map not just land, but the echoes of civilizations long erased from memory. The maps of the time were riddled with voids, great swaths of the Midwest and Mississippi Valley labeled merely as Indian Territory or unexplored plains. To the ambitious minds of Washington and New York, these blanks were challenges, beckoning scholars, surveyors, and dreamers to venture into the heart of the continent. Armed with compasses, journals, and an unshakable faith that uncovering the past could forge a nation's future, expeditions were grand spectacles of human endurance, blending science with the thrill of the unknown. They demanded exhaustive planning, correspondence flooding between government offices, learned academies like the Smithsonian Institution, and private benefactors eager to etch their names into history. In cities like Philadelphia and Boston, societies formed waiting lists for men yearning to lead or join these quests. Even frontier outposts buzzed with anticipation as word spread of ventures into the Ohio and Mississippi valleys. But as I delved into the archives, yellowed letters, faded diaries, and overlooked reports, I uncovered a dissonance. The public rationale was archaeology, ethnography, the study of native tribes and their mounds. Yet the private correspondences hinted at deeper pursuits, whispers of colossal earthworks, symmetrical fortresses buried under soil, and structures that defied the primitive tools attributed to indigenous peoples. Old America, they wrote, was not a blank slate of wilderness. It was a palimpsest, layers upon layers of an ancient world, one that mirrored the grandeur of lost realms across the globe. The orchestration of an 1840s expedition was a feat of ingenuity and peril. Picture the bustling docks of New Orleans at twilight, steamboats groaning under the weight of crates as teams loaded provisions for months in the wild. Each venture assembled a cadre of experts, cartographers to plot coordinates, artists to illustrate findings, ethnologists to interview tribes, and physicians to combat the fevers that lurked in river mists. Supplies were exhaustive: tents of oiled canvas, kegs of salted pork, quinine for malaria, ink pots, sketch pads, shovels, and even rudimentary daguerreotype cameras to capture irrefutable proof. A miscalculation could spell disaster, spoiled food leading to starvation, or flooded rivers washing away instruments. Funding was a delicate dance. Congressional grants or academy endowments provided meager sums, forcing leaders to court wealthy patrons in smoke-filled parlors, promising revelations of America's ancient nobility. But woven into these pitches was a veiled allure, discoveries that might upend the timeline of human progress, hinting at civilizations predating Columbus by millennia, with technologies that seemed otherworldly. Patrons, intrigued or wary, insisted on one condition: the artifacts must return to institutions where they could be studied, cataloged, or conveniently forgotten. In my research, a recurring motif emerged in explorers' confidential notes: the architects of the elder Earth. Undefined yet omnipresent, it surfaced in dispatches from the Ohio Valley to the Great Plains. They described mounds of geometric perfection, enclosures vast enough to hold armies, effigies shaped like serpents or birds, visible only from the skies. Engineers marveled at earthworks aligned with solstices, canals defying natural flow, and fortifications without seam or mortar. These weren't the works of nomadic tribes, as official narratives claimed. They were relics of something advanced, something that challenged the doctrine of a young, savage continent. By 1840,
The push to unearth old America's mysteries had ignited a fervor akin to a scholarly gold rush. Britain and France eyed the continent with envy, but the United States claimed it as a birthright, seeking proof of an indigenous antiquity to rival Europe's classics. Expeditions blended politics and science, with government backing ensuring control over findings. Yet unease simmered. One 1842 missive from a Smithsonian advisor cautioned against exaggerating the mound's complexity, lest it unsettle established chronologies. Unsettle, a word pregnant with implication, suggesting truths too vast, too anomalous for the era's worldview. Indeed, expedition logs revealed omissions, vanished passages about metallic artifacts in soil, unexplained symmetries in mound layouts, relics that vanished en route to museums. Explorers grappled with sites that blurred history, structures suggesting global connections, as if old America was but a fragment of a unified ancient domain. Mounting such ventures in 1840 demanded iron will. Teams endured blizzards on the plains, venomous snakes in valleys, hostile encounters with displaced tribes. Supplies mildewed in humidity, men succumbed to dysentery or exhaustion. Yet obsession propelled them, a mix of intellectual zeal and almost mystical compulsion. Maps often traced forgotten paths, raised causeways, alignments invisible on surface but etched in earth. How, they wondered, could they navigate routes built by peoples history deemed incapable? One 1841 account detailed a linear earthwork stretching miles through forest, its precision unattributable to known natives. Such reports surfaced in niche publications, then faded, perhaps suppressed as by mid-decade private expeditions yielded to federal oversight, journals scrutinized, artifacts sequestered. The 1840s teetered on disclosure. Powers unwittingly probed what theorists now term Tartaria, an elder civilization spanning continents, marked by harmonic architecture, hydraulic mastery, and celestial geometry. Explorers may not have known the name, dismissed as cartographic myth, but their words evoked its essence, a lost global order, veiled in America's soil.
In 1840, amid this surge of inquiry, Ephraim George Squire, a young journalist turned archaeologist, and Edwin Hamilton Davis, a physician with a passion for antiquity, launched an expedition that would illuminate the enigmas of old America's mound builders. Commissioned by the nascent Smithsonian, their aim was to survey and excavate the vast earthworks dotting the Mississippi and Ohio valleys. Monumental constructs rumored by settlers and tribes alike, yet undocumented in scholarly depth. Drawn by tales of buried cities and geometric wonders, they prepared rigorously, assembling tools for digging, measuring tapes for precision, notebooks for sketches, and provisions for extended fieldwork. Departing from Chillicothe, Ohio, they ventured into a landscape of rolling hills and river bends, enlisting local farmers as diggers and native informants for lore. From the outset, hardships assailed them, relentless rains turning paths to quagmires, swarms of insects, scorching summers yielding to bitter winds. Yet each site unveiled marvels that transcended expectation. At the Newark earthworks, they beheld octagonal enclosures spanning acres, aligned with lunar cycles, precision implying astronomical savvy beyond rudimentary tools. Squire meticulously mapped diameters, angles, and orientations, while Davis cataloged artifacts, copper ornaments, mica sheets, obsidian blades, all wrought with finesse, suggesting advanced metallurgy. Their probes extended to the Serpent Mound, a colossal effigy coiling across a plateau, its form visible only aerially, hinting at builders with elevated perspectives or celestial designs. Then to Marietta,
where concentric circles and squared mounds formed fortified complexes, complete with gateways and moats, urban planning on a scale rivaling ancient Rome. Their labors were arduous, fevers ravaged the team, tools broke against compacted earth, isolation bred doubt. Yet journal entries betray awe, realizations that these weren't mere burial sites, but remnants of a sophisticated society, with earthworks engineered for defense, ceremony, and perhaps energy conduction, echoes of what Tartaria proponents see as a worldwide grid. They documented hydraulic features, canals diverting rivers with mathematical accuracy, terraces preventing erosion, drainage systems sustaining populations in the thousands. Sculptures emerged from digs, effigies of birds, pipes carved as humanoids, intricate beyond Stone Age attribution. Nights around campfires, amid howls of wolves and rustling leaves, Squire and Davis debated implications, alignments mirroring European megaliths, motifs akin to Asian relics. Davis's sketches captured the grandeur, vast plazas, pyramidal mounds rising like ziggurats, walls of packed earth enduring centuries. Their 1848 publication, Ancient Monuments of the Mississippi Valley, stunned academia, detailing over 200 sites with maps and illustrations that challenged notions of pre-Columbian primitivism. Yet editors tempered descriptions, omitting anomalies like non-local materials or geometric impossibilities. Deeper incursions revealed interconnected networks, mounds linked by invisible lines, perhaps ley paths or trade routes spanning states. Celestial orientations pointed to solstices, equinoxes, knowledge implying observatories or cosmic calendars. Tartaria theorists later cited these as outposts of a fallen empire, where magnetism, water, and sound powered societies. Even amid skepticism, Squire noted magnetic variances near mounds, compasses erring as if influenced by subterranean forces. As Squire and Davis delved further into old America's heartland, each excavation felt like peeling back veils on a concealed epic. The mounds weren't random, they pulsed with design, defying the savage label affixed to native forebears. Enclosures at Circleville spanned diameters perfect in ratio, walls sloped for stability, akin to modern engineering. They weren't unearthing tribal remnants, they were exposing a stratum of antiquity, with fingerprints of a civilization predating recorded history. Davis's illustrations depicted platforms topped with temples, now eroded, but once perhaps domed like Tartarian structures. The pair observed recurring themes, serpent motifs symbolizing energy flows, bird effigies evoking flight or surveillance, all carved with precision envying industrial tools. At Hopewell, they uncovered caches of quartz crystals, pearl ornaments, materials traded vast distances, implying global networks. How could isolated tribes achieve this without advanced navigation, metallurgy, or machinery? Journals hint at doubt, labor scales immense, means inadequate, evoking mystery. Locals shared legends of star people, builders who harnessed earth energies, then vanished in cataclysms, parallels to Tartarian floods. Comparisons to Siberian or Persian sites revealed shared arches, alignments, symmetries. If Tartaria spanned the globe, these mounds were its American echoes, buried under deliberate silt. When envisioning 1840s explorers, forget romance. Reality was grit, isolation, revelation. Old America's terrains were adversaries, prairies swallowing wagons, rivers breeding cholera, solitude fraying minds. Yet Squire and Davis persisted, believing they chronicled fading echoes. Unwittingly, they documented not Mesoamerican isolates, but Tartarian vestiges, geometries echoing worldwide, stones humming faintly, magnetism distorting instruments, mainstream repackaged as local feats, but patterns suggest cover. Similar mud flood layers burying ornate bases, while simpler tops endured. Expeditions like theirs fueled Operation Unearth, coordinated digs to reconstruct, rebrand Old World remnants. Archives whisper of soil commissions, artifact purges, dangers mounted, collapses, quakes, vanishings, as if Earth guarded secrets. Exploration became erasure, controlling history's narrative. By decade's end, state oversight sanitized finds, reclassifying as native simplicities. Yet those daguerreotypes show men beside half-buried portals, roads vanishing into earth, witnesses to Tartaria's grave. The 1840s weren't enlightenment, they were concealment, a reset veiled as discovery. Old America's crypt stood, glimpsing a world silenced, awaiting rediscovery.
When we reflect on the expeditions of the 1840s in Old America, we often romanticize them as heroic quests into the unknown, men with shovels and sketches taming a wild frontier. But the diaries and archives paint a darker, more haunting picture, one of endurance against an unforgiving land that guarded its secrets fiercely. The prairies and river valleys weren't empty, they were layered graves, concealing an ancient sophistication beneath feet of enigmatic silt. Squire and Davis, like their contemporaries, braved isolation, disease, and the psychological weight of unearthing truths that didn't align with the era's certainties. They documented not just mounds, but anomalies, perfect geometries, non-local artifacts, alignments that whispered of a shared ancient knowledge spanning oceans. Mainstream history recast these as isolated achievements of mound-building cultures, simple and vanished. Yet the parallels are undeniable. The same precise earthworks, the same celestial orientations, the same hints of harmonic engineering found in distant lands once mapped as Tartaria. As the decade progressed, federal control tightened. Expeditions morphed into systematic operations, with excavation teams clearing vast sites under the guise of preservation. Photographs from the era reveal the truth they tried to obscure. Grand bases submerged in uniform mud layers, ornate structures half entombed, while plainer ones stood atop. The so-called natural deposits match the mud floods described worldwide, selective cataclysms burying the old world's grandeur. Journals speak of humming resonances near sacred enclosures, compasses faltering as if near latent power sources, sudden chills in sunlit plazas. Dismissed as fever dreams or exaggeration, these recurring accounts suggest living architecture, attuned to Earth's energies in ways Tartaria was fabled to master. By the late 1840s, the narrative solidified. Discoveries were rebranded, artifacts relocated or lost, reports edited to fit a progressive timeline where America rose from primitivism. But Squire and Davis's work endures as a crack in that facade, their maps and plates showing networks too vast, too precise for the official story. What if these weren't mere ceremonial mounds? What if they were nodes in a global system, antennas or resonators for forgotten technologies, outposts of a unified civilization erased by deluge and deliberate amnesia? The expeditions of old America weren't conquests of wilderness, they were intrusions into a suppressed past, a coordinated awakening and swift reburial of Tartaria's American legacy. Those explorers, standing amid unearthed walls and star-aligned avenues, were fleeting witnesses to a world far older and more advanced than admitted.
History dressed it as discovery, but it feels more like recovery than concealment. Beneath the farms and cities we build today, the elder earth still lies, its geometries intact, its energies dormant, waiting for eyes willing to see beyond the sanctioned tale. The 1840s gave us glimpses of that lost magnificence before the veil descended once more. And perhaps that's the true legacy of those forgotten journeys, not what they revealed to the world, but what they almost did.